Hey, it's William Mullaney from Flowers and Scents with your industry buzz. Today we're going to interview Kate Penn. Kate Penn is the CEO of SAF, the Society of American Florists, which is the retail organization here in the U.S. And they do lots of good things for retailers and the industry, so we thought we might chat with them. So without further ado, Kate Penn of SAF. And voila, Kate Penn from Society of American Florists, the CEO, I believe.
That's right.
The American Florist has been around since 1884 and is now led by a longtime friend of mine, Kate Penn. Hello, how are you this morning?
I am great. It's great to be here. How are you?
I'm good, and welcome to Flowers and Scents. We're plugging away here, and I'm happy to be talking to a retail segment because I talk to a lot of the growers and I talk to importers and a lot of different people, and I often wonder on this tight market whether the retailers aren't holding the short end of the stick. When you talk about growers are happy because they're getting good product or good margins, and the importers are happy they're getting good margins, the wholesalers are getting good margins. I often wonder, is that good for retailers or not?
Right. Yeah, and retailers are definitely part of it. I mean, on the one hand, I think most retailers, even those that are struggling getting product, are probably going to tell you that they get that overall this is a good thing for our industry. Somebody said something yesterday during the webinar we had. They said it's like 1989 again. Everything you buy sells.
Yeah.
Right, which is pretty funny. And so the demand is through the roof, and it's a really good thing for our industry. This is better than the alternative, right? But yeah, it's a new world, and especially for retailers that weren't around in 1989, figuring out how to source product is a challenge. And we started talking about this. Well, I mean, a year ago, we were talking about this going into Mother's Day, and there was a whole different dynamic happening there because there literally weren't the flowers there that we needed at all, really due to farms having to shut down and because of the quarantine issue. And now it's really about demand, and so our industry is adjusting. It takes I think, as I'm sure importers and growers have told you, it takes a lot of pre-planning. Retailers are having to, just as they've had to adjust to so many things in the last year with smaller staffs, for instance, they have to adjust on the buying and by planning out much earlier than they have had to in the past. And we really pushed that going into Valentine's Day. And we saw some good results. I mean, I don't know what you heard, but Valentine's Day, generally speaking, from a supply standpoint, it went pretty well, considering. But that's one day. And it's just a US holiday. Whereas going into Mother's Day, there's so many countries that celebrate Mother's Day. It's more of a global holiday. So there definitely is a big challenge over this next month.
Speaking of your webinar yesterday, so was there any conclusions? I guess the general feeling is that the market's hot, the supply is tight, and demand is high.
Right. And that's everybody is in agreement with that. There's no question about that. And as I'm sure you've also heard, it's due to demand. There's also, weather issue in South America that's been happening for the last 12 weeks or so. The good news is that is starting to improve. And so one of the importers on the call, he said he's feeling pretty good about Mother's Day. It's going to be tight, and you have to order early, and you really have to pre-plan, but there was some optimism on the call about supply and how it will look going into the summer and certainly by the fall. But because of the demand, there is somewhat of a new normal here on this, and I think that pre-planning is going to be important. Being super resourceful too. I mean, certainly if you weren't already looking at your local growers, you certainly are now through the spring, and all of that's coming into production. So the timing's good for that. East Coast retailers might be looking at sourcing more from Canada than they have in the past. I mean, there definitely are things you can do. And at the retail level, it's important also to think about what you're offering to customers too. When customers are asking for specifics, that's challenging. And so you need to learn how to navigate those conversations in a way that's positive and doesn't leave the customer feeling, concerned about the industry. It's not an industry in crisis. It's a great industry. And so retailers are doing more designer's choice. They're also looking at, hey, if they're looking in their cooler and it's almost wiped out and they're getting, orders in, they're really pushing, flowering potted plants. And so
I had a nice conversation with Rick Kennicott, and he pointed out, he said, I just walked through my cooler and it's full of beautiful flowers. There's lots of flowers in my cooler. So, that's sort of an indication, like you're saying, there are flowers around. It's just maybe not the specific variety or the shade or whatever that you need 300 of or 500 of. So, right. There are flowers around, and as we've learned here, flowers work. All these years we've been professing this, Kate, and preaching it and analyzing it and studying it and doing research to find out that, yeah, flowers make you feel better. It's nice having a bunch of flowers sitting on your table, or a plant, or plants in the house. They work.
Right. And more consumers are realizing this. And that's an important point to make to customers too. You can say that, you can say when someone's asking for something specific, something that you don't have, start that conversation by saying this pandemic has resulted in record demand for flowers. People are realizing how the power of flowers, they're connecting with people. So certain varieties are in short supply. I suggest a whatever, because the customer's looking for an expert. They're looking for someone. That's what they look to the retailer for.
Yes, this will be the right color, and this will work for you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
You got to be a salesman here a little bit too, because you're
exactly
having to sell something that maybe they want. I interviewed Jay Schwenke, and I sort of blame Valentine's success on him because of his Life in Bloom show. He's really putting flowers in front of a lot of people every week. That's really impressive.
I know. That's a beautiful show. I love it. It's so
great.
Unfortunately,
I don't get it here, so I can't watch it.
Yeah.
But he's done really nice things with that. So moving on with SAF a little bit. So you have a lot of programs. You have a plant event coming up, which you're advertising on Flowers and Scents. Thank you. What's that all about?
I'm glad you asked about that. So this plant event, we had heard it really grew out of just listening to our volunteer leaders. SAF has a lot of volunteer leaders that really drive everything that we do. And over the last year, there's been a lot of talk about the increased interest in house plants. And of course, unless you live in a cave, you're very well aware of that. And we wanted to figure out, well, what can we do with that? How can we help our industry leverage that? And so we decided to build an event around it. And for this event, we're calling it an event. And an event makes you think, well, it's this happening that takes place on a certain day at a certain time. And we actually really re-engineered the event for the plant event, knowing that people are doing so many virtual events there. And also people are so busy. We decided to do this event as most of it was pre-recorded. It's a series of, we have 23 different videos that we sourced from about 15 different retail experts and other plant experts in the industry. Little snippets, 5 to 8 minutes a piece, most of them, talking about everything from, it's really more show and tell, showing things like how to merchandise plants, how to take care of plants, how to train your staff on plants, how to do social media, all these different topics. And so the event includes 23 pre-recorded videos. And then we had 3 different live events during the month of March that also supplemented that. We talked to a couple different plant influencers and also featured a panel on sourcing plants because if you think sourcing cut flowers and greens right now is a challenge, then it's exponentially tougher when it comes to sourcing plants because of this demand. So we had a panel that tackled that. And 2 of those 3 live events are available for recording too. So it's, the month of March is over. We did a heavy promotion of it in March, but this is an evergreen event and package of information that's still available that you can get through SAF. So we're pretty excited about that. And we hope it helps. We hope it helps, help people who are already selling plants maybe expand their existing plant program, and then those who aren't really doing much in it really get into it. There was also a lot about trends with the plants too, what plants are trending. And so, yeah, very fun event.
Do they have to be a member to get access to it?
No, it's for members or non-members. It's just, you just pay more if you're not an SAF member, but anyone can access it.
Yeah. Find that via the website.
Sorry. Yes. And you can get that at safnow.org. You go there and you'll actually get it through the career connections part of SAF site, which is a new part of our site where we have employee training. And that's also where all of our virtual events, whether they're recorded or live, will take place. You'll access them through our career connections site. And there's also a lot of other resources on that too. So yeah, super easy to get to. And also if you're ever on the site on safnow.org and can't find what you need, we have live chats. You can just ask.
And the chat works.
The chat works. You've used it.
I do. Well, the moment you go on, it pops up, and I was trying to verify your title this morning, so they were happy enough to get it.
Right, and I think actually now that I think of it, you've reached me through that before, because someone on our team has said,
"Yeah, right."
Malini wants you to call him. So.
It was there, and I said,
no, it's easy. And that's exactly how we like people to use it. You can just ask anything on that site.
Oh,
yeah.
I got my vaccination yesterday or the day before. Thank you.
Good.
I saw a woman wearing a plant mom t-shirt. Yeah, plant mom. And she had pictures of 3 plants on her t-shirt. I was like,
I know. There's that whole plant mom, plant parent. Yeah, it was really great. And listen, I actually went up a few notches in the coolness category with my 23-year-old daughter, because I was telling her that we were interviewing Eliza Blank of the Sill. And she is, and I don't know if you know who she is, but my 23-year-old daughter, who's a plant parent, certainly does. And she's like, wow, that's so great. So all of a sudden I became like really cool to my daughter. Fiona was happy about that.
All right, so we have Congressional Action Days too, which is something I participated in so long ago that I don't even care to remember how long that was ago, but a long time ago I participated. And the revelation to me was that Capitol Hill is actually on a hill. So that was my revelation. It was actually a very interesting process, I have to admit. And again, we're going back 20 years or more that I went on this thing. But yeah, you get a chance to mingle if you can. You have talking points that you people supply for us. Is that still the same, more or less, process?
We are. I mean, the event is so different this year because we're doing it virtually. But yes, since, and I can't remember when you took part either, but it is the same. I mean, the objective of the event is to take the issues that SAF's working on behalf of the industry to the Hill, but whereas normally we do that, all the time because through our lobbying team, but at Congressional Action Days, they're hearing it directly from the industry itself. So they're hearing the industry's stories about why, it's so important to get access to a great labor supply. And so that's where we talk about immigration reform. You can talk specifically about why we need this research that is helping improve the yield on cut flower production or reduce our dependence on pesticides. Research is so important. We need money for that research. And so we ask for money every year for the Floriculture Research Initiative. That's another one of our issues. This year, we're also talking about, we're really making a push to, for now, maintain the minimum wage instead of doing the increase right now, just because of the timing and the economic struggles that folks are having. That's another one of our issues this year. And then the other one is we're pushing for renewal of the generalized system of preferences so the duties can be removed from roses coming from Ecuador. So when those stories are told through the individuals whose, you know, pocketbooks, bottom lines are impacted, it's much more powerful. So we're doing that. It's kind of like the great big experiment this year, because we're doing it virtually. And usually, you know, as you know, you're going to the offices and you're having those sit down conversations. Yeah. But we can't skip a year on it. It's too important, and these issues are too important. So we are doing it virtually. It's free. Normally, we do charge for the event because we have costs. We have hard costs to cover for the event. You know, there's meals involved, and but this year it's free because we don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So
well, that is certainly one of SAF's hallmarks, that they provide that advocacy for us. So thank you for that. And okay, so we're running out of time here, but I'm going to say, you know, you have a lot of tools for florists, right? That's what you do. So if a florist that might be reading this or watching this is not a member of SAF, I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why they probably should, and we probably don't have time to go through them all now. We have discussed some of them, perhaps, but what would they do? You know, they've got lots of options.
Well, they have lots of options. Yes. I mean, obviously we would love for all the florists to be members, and from the florists who are members, you know, what they like about it is that access to so many resources that are free. You know, whether it's the information, like the updates that we're giving up on what's going on in the industry. There's so many free webinars that you get. We also have all these marketing tools.
Yeah, you have all the online stuff. Yeah.
And yeah, there's so many tools that are free. You also get discounted access to our events that you otherwise would pay for. But if the membership's not for you, you can still have access to our materials. You're just going to pay for them. And everything that we do is driven by our volunteer leadership, and we listen to our volunteer leaders tell us what's most important and what do we need to be focusing on. And the things that we focus on that really drive what SAF's doing relate to, we do everything we can to bring the industry together as much as possible, because what we've heard is that peer-to-peer learning is very, very powerful. So we feature all kinds of really great speakers at our events, and we also make a lot of connection happen at our events. So people are sitting at tables and exchanging ideas, whether it's a virtual table or in person. So we really create a lot of connection in the industry. We also know that talent, attracting and keeping talent is so important, right? We hear a lot that people are just having trouble either attracting or keeping them. A lot of people, you know, they kind of pop into the industry for a while until they pursue that other career. SAF wants to really make a difference in making anyone who comes into our industry realize it is a career. It is the career. And there's so much that you can do, whether you're involved with floral design or driving or marketing or technology, breeding, growing. I mean, it's just, it's such rich.
A global industry, as we know.
Right. And so our Career Connections site, we launched that with that in mind, to really create a career path and show what that career path looks like. And again, you can access that. We want to make this available to the whole industry. It's just less expensive if you're an SAF member.
So how many retailers we think are still out there in the world?
Sorry?
How many retailers are still out there in the US, do we think? 13,000 is the latest number I heard.
Yeah, I hear around 12 to 13,000. I mean, and of course that's not including, you know, supermarket florists and event-only florists. With the supermarket florists, that number goes, you know, up to more like 36,000, I think is the number. Yeah. Yeah, and then the event only florists. There's a lot of event only florists as well. And SAF serves the whole industry. We really, our mission is to connect and cultivate a thriving floral community, and that community is everybody. Anyone who wants to knock it out of the ballpark and make a great living, selling flowers and plants. That's who we are here to serve, and all segments too. Growers.
That's an ambitious goal, but a nice one. I like it.
Well, I think goals should be ambitious, and
They need to be ambitious.
yes.
Well, speaking of ambitious goals, okay, so 2020 got canceled. 2021, here we are. What are we talking about? It's nothing on the website that led me to ask the question or there was no answer. It was just questions for me. So,
right, for SAF's annual convention. Is that, yeah. And unfortunately, of course, we canceled last year, but we're having it this year. We decided last fall, based on, what we're hearing about the vaccine rollout in the fall, we thought, we think we could plan, if we re-engineer it in the right way, we could have an in-person event. We're also hearing from so many people, Willie, saying, are you going to have your convention? Are you going to have your convention? And so we thought, we think we can do something. And then after the first of the year or so, once we saw how the vaccine was rolling out, we were feeling even better about it. So we are going to have convention September 21st to 23rd in Orlando. I know.
You're coming to me. How easy.
And hey, Willie, we're going to have the opening reception in your backyard with your dogs. Okay.
Okay, good.
You're going to be the entertainment. Okay. Is that okay?
You said it was going to be different, so.
Right. Okay. So some of the things that we wanted to take into account is the industry's very busy, and especially as events come back. I think the fall is going to be crazy busy for events for our industry. I think Wednesday is going to be the new Saturday for weddings.
Everybody's pent up. Yeah, there's a lot of pent up demand. What was those dates again? September
21st to the 23rd. And so you've come to our convention enough that you're probably picking up on the fact that we're making it a little bit shorter this year.
Yeah.
And that's because we know people are busy. That also will help bring the price down, because we also want to be sensitive to budgets as well. So there's a scheduling issue, there's a budgeting issue, and staffing. People are still, it's tough to keeping staff because of COVID, because of, people having to take time off, because they have to quarantine. People are still, very short staffed. So we know it's going to be hard to get away for 4 days, as it usually would be for our convention. So, and then Orlando is a very affordable locale. I can't believe the rates we were getting from the hotels. We're going to be at the Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort. I think I have that name right. And we will be announcing this, by the way. In fact, I think there may even be something in SAF's weekly digital newsletter, SAF Now. It might be in today's issue. There may be a save the date. If not this week, then next week. But folks can just keep going to our website to get the specifics on it. So it's going to be shorter. It is going to be very packed. Some of those favorite parts of convention, we're going to make sure we still make happen. Like, people love our opening party.
All right.
So fun. We are still going to have a supplier expo, very popular event, outstanding varieties. Yes, we have pulled all the growers who participated in that in the past, just to make sure that they'd be interested in that. Very much so. We're also going to have the Sylvia Cup design competition. So.
I love it. I love it. And now between you and WFSA, I don't have to leave the state. So.
Right. Exactly. What's WFSA doing?
They're doing it in June in Miami.
They are. Okay.
That's what they told me. That's what Molly told me. Got it on the record here. So I look forward to y'all coming to my state here and our state, and coming to my town makes life a lot easier for me. So I don't have to go far.
I know. I'm really excited about it. It's a different kind of locale for us. Usually we have the beach in front of us or the mountains in the background, but there's a price that comes with that. There's a premium. So we want to really
a space mountain, and you go up high enough.
Yeah.
The oceans if you get it high enough.
Right.
Anyway, Miss Kate Penn, thank you very much for coming on and spending a little time with me. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure people are happy to hear, or at least interested to hear what y'all have to say. So I will publish this next week and give you a copy first to review. And thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Willie. It was fun to catch up with you. It's great to see you. And
As
I'll look forward to
always.
seeing you soon.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.